Welcome to your Sunday edition of Kruk and Kuip Extra Innings. We go around signings, Giant spring training this week, and we preview the NL Central, possibly a manager who could be on the hottest seat of them all this year. Let's start off with the signings. And the signings have slowed down this week. And we also going to talk about a rule change for minor league baseball tonight. And also, believe it or not, starting next Thursday is opening day. So next Thursday will be opening day, and we will be moving to a new channel on opening day. So subscribe to the new Kruk and Kite channel on beginning March 29th. And I'm hoping to have other people co-host, so I'm not alone, and hopefully we can get people to help me out especially on the weekday matinee games when I'm at work. But we do have a lot of DFAs and whatnot. And hey, Go Skittle, how's it going tonight? Certainly does not feel like spring in California right now. And we'll start off with this. The LA Dodgers release Mark Lowe from his minor league contract and hopes to catch on with another organization. He struggled in spring training with a 6 and struggled last year with a 6.23 ERA. So good chance maybe Mark Lowe sits out the season or he retires. So we'll see what happens with Mark Lowe. Yankees designate Jake Cave for assignment as a corresponding roster move. The Yankees signing Neil Walker to a 1-year, $4 million contract. So we'll see if he can catch on he will probably start off at second base or come off the bench for the New York Yankees this year. And they also released Danny Espinosa. We'll see if Espinosa signs elsewhere. And the Phillies designate former Giant Tommy Joseph for assignment. And he was certainly a catching prospect for the Giants at one time before getting traded to the Phillies for Hunter Pence many years ago. Then he converted over to first base the last couple years. And I think he will certainly catch on with another MLB team. He could be maybe a cheap option for some other team, hopefully. But I wish Tommy Joseph a lot of luck. The Baltimore Orioles signed Hunter Cervenka to a minor league contract after getting released by the Miami Marlins organization. Reds outright Dilson Herrera to their AAA camp and is hoping to rebound from a disappointing season in the minors last year. Ezekiel Carrera signs with the Atlanta Braves in a minor league contract. And is going to battle Preston Tucker for one of the last spots on the 25-man roster. The New York Yankees released Adam Lind yesterday. It'll be interesting to see if any team has any interest of signing Adam Lind. Marlins third baseman Martin Prado will start the season on the disabled list and will turn to Brian Anderson in the hot corner to start the season. And I certainly think Prado could be a candidate for a buyout after this year. I certainly think they'll try to unload Martin Prado for pennies on the dollar if he's healthy at the trade deadline. But he's been embattled with injuries. It's going to be very hard to move Martin Prado, but I think a buyout could be a real possibility for Martin Prado after this year in Miami. The Oakland A's released Iro Labort to clear a roster spot for Jonathan Lucroy. Seattle Mariners outright Mike Morin to the minor league camp. And former Red Sox manager John Farrell looks like he's going to be a pitching coach this year for the Cincinnati Reds. And he could certainly be one that might put Brian Price on the hot seat at this point. So we'll see what happens with that, but that certainly doesn't bode well for Price, whose last couple years it's fallen on hard times for the Cincinnati Reds. And ruled onto a rule change that they're going to implement in minor league baseball today. I mean, minor league baseball this year, relating to the pace of play. It's going to be looks like mound visits will be limited in the minors, like the majors will be. But the big change will be in extra innings. Oh, I am not sure about Greinke's injury. But the big change on extra innings is to shorten contests. Each team will have a base runner on second in the 10th frame and beyond in order to speed up the game. And this was used in the last World Baseball Classic and this was not liked, and I don't like this. I think it really takes away from the what shall I say, the purity of baseball and the integrity of baseball. I think this is makes it more of a skills competition, and I do not like the starting extra innings with a runner on base. And I hope this does not carry over to Major League Baseball. I hope this one falls on its face. And it looks like the pitch clocks are now going to be sped up this year too, which it's getting ridiculous. I really wish baseball would stop fucking around with the rules to please the short attention spans of millennials. It's just not. It really just ruins the integrity of baseball. I'm sorry, Manfred, but that's just how I feel about these rule changes. And the Cubs release pitcher Justin Grimm, who struggled last year in the Cubs organization, and his and at a 5.53 ERA, just was used to eat innings last year. It was part of the Matt Garza trade, and he was cleared to make room for Eddie Butler to pitch out of the pen this year. Mark Trumbo out three to 4 weeks with a quad injury, so that is not very good. Not good news for the Baltimore Orioles. And on top of that, top prospect Ryan Mountcastle will be gone for the next 4 to 6 weeks, which means Colby Rasmus and Danny Valencia could both now make the 25-man roster, or possibly even Pedro Alvarez might be on the 25-man roster to start the season. Seattle Mariners signed right-hander Josh Smith to a minor league contract. Jared Eichhoff out 6 to 8 weeks with a lat strain. And that likely helps Mark Leiter or Vince Velasquez or Nick Pivetta make the rotation for the Phillies to start the year. This definitely hurts the Phillies a skosh for the first few weeks. But the Phillies are not short on replacement options, and he can take his time recovering too. The Atlanta Braves signed Anibal Sanchez to a minor league contract and certainly will compete with Scott Kazmir and Brandon McCarthy for one of the last roster spots on the Braves rotation and could pitch out of the Braves bullpen this season. Reds extend Eugenio Suarez to a 7-year contract, which will be guaranteed over $66 million. And this is a flat $66 million. So now you have Suarez and Votto occupying the two corners. And the Phillies purchased the contract of Pedro Florimon, and he'll start as a utility man without having to be sent to AAA, and designate Eliezer Alvarez for assignment to clear the spot on the 40-man roster. Twins acquired Jake Cave from the Yankees, and Kenny Vargas is designated for assignment. Texas Rangers released John Neese and has been hampered with injuries as Neese is trying to make a comeback in Major League Baseball this year. We'll see if he catches on maybe with another organization before the start of the year. Toronto Blue Jays signed Danny Espinosa to a minor league contract. And it looks like Jarrell Cotton is going to miss the season for the Oakland A's with Tommy John surgery. So, tough luck for the kid. He struggled last year with the A's and ended up finishing the year over in Nashville. And now will probably miss the season with Tommy John surgery. So that could mean time for the A's to maybe go on the phone and give Alex Cobb a call. Could be time to bring in a proven starter for the Oakland A's, but this is just tough luck for Cotton, who was really looking to prove himself this year and bounce back from a disappointing year last year. So hopefully he comes back good and healthy in 2019, and just tough luck for the kid. Well, that definitely helps somebody like Paul Blackburn and Triggs, who are battling for a spot in the rotation. Lefty reliever Sam Moll claimed by the Blue Jays off of waivers. And the big one this week is the Houston Astros extend Jose Altuve to a 5-year, $151 million contract. And you know what? It was a good extension. It now, though unfortunately puts Houston closer to the luxury tax threshold. And now the next big thing is going to be extending Carlos Correa at some point this season. And we'll see how much Correa gets in a potential contract extension as they look to repeat as champions this year. As they both will be faces of the franchise. And with the injury to Cotton, it looks like the Oakland A's signed Trevor Cahill to a 1-year contract, and a looks like a reunion for the A's and Trevor Cahill as he looks to fill the back end of the rotation, or could be a swing man out of the bullpen. So that definitely helps things for the A's right there. And he's definitely could be one of those project pitchers the Oakland A's loves to do with pitchers who have fallen on hard times. Definitely, Oakland's a good place where they do a lot of pitcher rehabilitation projects, and I think Cahill. I think this is definitely a good move for him to return to Oakland and hopefully find his command, as he fell off after he went to the Kansas City Royals last year. So I wish Cahill a lot of luck. And the Royals signed Justin Grimm to a 1-year, $1 million contract, and they designate Sam Gavliglio for assignment. I think definitely he could reinvent himself in Kansas City. This is a good buy low candidate, and definitely could be used as a bridge to Kelvin Herrera this year, or as trade bait for prospects if things go well. And the Washington Nationals signed Jeremy Hellickson to a minor league contract. And I think Hellickson would probably, I think Hellickson would definitely be a good option for the 5 spot in the Nationals rotation, as it's not been a good spring training for AJ Cole this year. So I definitely think Hellickson will definitely solidify the back end of the rotation, as he won't be demanded to do anything more than 5 or 6 innings per game, and he definitely would be one that we'll see if his stuff can translate over to Nationals Park or not. But he's definitely a fly ball pitcher. But he did fall off in Kansas City a skosh, and but I mean, being on the back end of the rotation would be good for him. And it looks like the A's are also considering a reunion with Brett Anderson. Anderson's started off with the A's organization and fallen on hard times with command and injuries the last couple years. So I certainly think a return to Oakland would be really good for Trevor Cahill and then for Brett Anderson. So hopefully, maybe another rehabilitation project for the A's there with Brett Anderson. And the Minnesota Twins suspend Jorge Polanco for 80 games for testing positive for stanozolol, and he'll probably appeal the suspension, and could end up. We'll see how this goes. Jason Vargas suffers a fracture to non-pitching hand, and will likely be out for a while. But they do have a couple other options in the Mets rotation. They could probably slide in. Probably Zach Wheeler could slide into the back end of the rotation. And those are the signings for this week. Now on to Giants trending up and down. And it's kind of been a tough run for a lot of us aces have struggled this off season too, so it's been weird. James Paxton's had a rough go. Okay, Ghost Skittle asking about the update on Greinke's injury. I'm not sure about Greinke's injury, but it's not good from what I understand. But yeah, Mariners ace James Paxton's had a rough go in spring training this year. Kyle Freeland's had not had a wonderful spring training thus far. And another guy I'll talk about a little bit later, Michael Wacha, has not had good times in spring training this year. And another one I'll talk about in a minute since it's the Giants, Samardzija, another one who's not had an all that wonderful spring training. But it's looking like Austin Jackson's had a really good week with the Giants and could end up being the starting center field with the way he's going down there, which could also be good in a way for Steven Duggar, who can start the year getting full-time reps in Sacramento before calling him up, which would be really good for him. Austin Slater's likely going to be starting the year in Sacramento, so we'll see how he does there. So there's going to be a homegrown outfield with some really good pitching, really good outfielding, so we'll be really good there. But yeah, Chris Stratton did not look great yet the other day. Stratton's definitely one that's got to pitch a skosh better in the last few weeks. Hopefully he can stretch it out to the fifth and sixth innings by the time season starts. Julian Fernandez has struggled, and he's going to probably have to be offered back into the. Julian Fernandez is definitely one that could end up having to be offered back to the Colorado organization. But they got to find a way to get him to agree to start the season in AAA since he's a Rule 5 draftee and he cannot. He'll have to be offered back since if he does not make the 25-man roster. It looks like Hunter Pence has hit better as of late. That's really good news. But I think Roberto Gomez is definitely going to be a name to watch in AAA this year. But it looks like Derek Holland, he's definitely going to be. Okay, that's good news. Thanks, Ghost Skittle. So that's good news there on Thor. Good news on Vargas. But it looks like Derek Law is likely going to start the year in Sacramento, so that's going to get really interesting. It looks like Derek Holland's certainly going to be the swing man out of the bullpen, so that's really good news there. And next week, I definitely will make my projected 25-man Giants roster on next week's show, as we do the Giants preview and a little bit of in case you missed it this off season. So one more week to impress. Then, as next Thursday, we do start the regular season. And it looks like we could see. Looks like we could see a fight for the closer position this year. It looks like Kelby Tomlinson. Looks like Kelby Tomlinson's really recovered for a slow start, so that's really good. It's not looking good for Stroman, Trumbo, and Conforto on the injury side of things. Yeah, that's very true. And it's right now a battle between Gorkis and Parker for the last roster spot. And I think right now it'd be Parker since he's a lefty, so I think Gorkis is likely going to be DFA'd before the end. But we'll get more into this next week as we do the projected 25-man roster. And now it's time for the NL Central Preview Show. As I will, of course, have done it at the last few shows, I'm going to start from who I think is going to finish last to first. My fifth place team for this year is going to be the Pittsburgh Pirates, as they are clearly looking to tank this year. This could likely be the last year that we see Clint Hurdle, the manager of the Pittsburgh Pirates. And I think this season is going to be more about getting youngsters development, and hopefully Corey Dickerson can recover his average this year at PNC. And of course, they'd like to, and I think Josh Harrison will not finish the season with the Pirates this year. I certainly think Harrison's going to be traded, as unfortunately it's just small market baseball, and I think you're going to see another rebuild in Pittsburgh. So I think they're going to be dead last. My fourth place team is the Cincinnati Reds. Things are not necessarily looking good for Brian Price right now, as they did bring in Farrell as extra eyes for Price, which is not good news. Homer Bailey's had a rough go this spring training, and he really needs to get it together this year, or it's going to be a bot, or they're going to have to start talking about a possible buyout for Homer Bailey. And I certainly think maybe it would not hurt for them to maybe go after Alex Cobb before the season starts. And of course, they're going to be stuck with the Votto contract, which is a lot of money. I think so. I think Cozart could do okay. I definitely think we'll see how Cozart does now that he got paid. And I certainly think, though, I think the Reds are going to do well enough to avoid the cellar this year. And I think they would. And I think we'll see if Billy Hamilton gets traded before this year's deadline, as they still look to get prospects up and developed in Cincinnati. But I think fourth place will be Scooter Bennett. Oh, I'm not sure how well Bennett's going to do this. Scooter Jeanette. I think Scooter Jeanette should do fine. I think Jeanette is. Oh, looks like Jeanette's going to head for the DL. But I certainly think, and then of course you got Adam Duvall, who I think will definitely hit some dingers. But Jeanette should be fine. But I think this will be a good young team. But I don't think they're going to finish in the cellar this year in Cincinnati. So there we go with the Reds. My third place team, the St. Louis Cardinals. This could be the first time in a very long time where the Cardinals may not finish above 500. A sub 500 season is not beyond the realm of possibility this year. The rotation is going to be a bit green, as they're waiting for Alex Reyes to return from injury. That's definitely one where you got Alex Reyes coming back from Tommy John surgery. And then Carlos Martinez will be the ace this year for the Cardinals. They definitely need a good year out of Carlos Martinez. And he's going to start. Yeah, Dexter Fowler's. It's going to be imperative for him to step up. Same thing with Marcell Ozuna. And then you're going to have Luke Weaver, we're going to find out how Luke Weaver handles a full season in the majors. It's going to be imperative for Weaver to have a good year. And then we'll see if there's anything left in the tank for Adam Wainwright. And then who knows if Michael Wacha can survive the whole season in the rotation. I think he's going to get bumped to the pen at some point this season. But I'm really not sold on the rotation this year. The bullpen's not wonderful. I think the closer to start the year is going to be possibly Trevor Rosenthal. Oh, never mind. Rosenthal's hurt. This really gets down the closer monkey is really going to get interesting for the Cardinals this year. With no Sang Hwang Oh, it could be closer by committee to start the year in St. Louis. Well, it could be Luke Gregerson's possibly could be the closer, or Flaherty. But it's going to be a rough go with the closer situation in St. Louis. And then they need good hitting from Yadier Molina too this year. And of course you got Bud Norris. That's definitely one that could. Oh, they definitely cannot have that abysmal start like last year. Because guess what's going to happen if things start as bad as last year for the Cardinals? I certainly see a situation if things start slow. You could see Mike Matheny fired before the end of the year. I certainly think Mike Matheny is going to be managing for his job this year, and once they do miss their third straight postseason, I do think Matheny is going to be out the door, and St. Louis is going to be staring at a managing vacancy for the first time in a very long time. Looks like to start the year, you're going to have Miles Mikolas as your number 5 starter. It looks like Flaherty could be the closer if Gregerson's not ready to go on opening day. Yeah, Jack Flaherty could end up being the interim closer for the Cardinals this year, but I think certainly you could see the first managing vacancy for the St. Louis Cardinals if things really start going south. You trust Ozuna? We'll see. But I do think this is put up or shut up time for Matheny, or you could see. And Bill DeWitt does not like hiring managers, but I think this will be the first time in a very long time that he's had to fire a manager if things do not go well. My second place team this year, the Milwaukee Brewers. They've definitely got better hitting wise. Definitely, you're going to see Yelich be a great addition, and Lorenzo Cain definitely will help the outfield with base stealing and home runs. And I think and Cain and Yelich are really going to love hitting at Miller Park. But they definitely need to go out and sign another pitcher at this point. They cannot wait for Chase Anderson to return from injury. Or like the rotation's not. I definitely think Milwaukee should definitely take a look at signing Alex Cobb. They definitely need another starter in the rotation, because that's going to put a lot more pressure right now. Or excuse me, Jimmy Nelson's hurt, not Chase Anderson. And Zach Davies is going to be your 2. Chacin, Wade Miley. I definitely, they should have gone for Darvish or Arrieta, but they definitely need to take a look at signing Alex Cobb before the season starts. I mean, they're gonna be able to hit and I think they're going to be a wild card contender this year. But if they don't make the postseason, it's going to be the pitching is why. And then you got Pina and looks like Stephen Vogt's going to be out for opening day, so. And then Eric Thams, he's got to avoid the sophomore slump this year for Milwaukee. But I definitely see this team winning between 85 and 90 games this year, and definitely being in the hunt for a wild card this year. And my first place team will be the Chicago Cubs. They've definitely upgraded the starting rotation. I think it's one of the best rotations in baseball this year with Quintana and with Darvish, Quintana, Lester, Hendricks, and Chatwood being your 5 starters. It definitely is a stacked rotation. And then of course you got Chris Bryant, who could definitely hit dingers. You've got Pate, and then they definitely upgraded at closer. Oh yeah, I think Chris Bryant's going to have a really good year for the Cubs. You got Javi Baez. You've got Addison Reed. I certainly think it's World Series or bust for the Cubs this year. But we'll find out who will be the closer for the opening day for the Cubs. It looks like Brandon Morrow is going to be the closer for the Cubs this year. And the bullpen got much better, got a skosh better this year. And I think this year the World Series you could see the 2016 and 2017 champions go after each other this year in the 2018 World Series. I certainly think the Cubs will be the team to beat in the NL this year. They've got the best rotation, best order. It's going to go through Wrigley this year. And of course, you got the mad scientist known as Joe Madden. Next week, we will go to our last preview show. We will preview the 25-man I will project my 25-man roster for the Giants. I will preview the NL West. Do a little in case you missed it, as it'll be the last preview show before the regular season starts next Thursday. We're almost here. Get excited. See you next week. Peace, love, and soul. Good night, everybody.